Coach is going to start with an opening statement, and then after that we'll take questions. Just raise your hand and come around.
You guys want to start off with, this is our last home game in the Dome, and we need Otto's Army out there ready to go. 5-1 at the Dome. We'd like to finish on a positive note, and we're going to need our 12th man behind us. This game is unique. After this game is played, we'll have our senior walk. With our senior walk, just so the fans will know, they will go into the locker room for a very brief minute. And when I say minute, I mean a minute. They'll come in, we'll say some words and some goodbyes, and then those guys will come back out and they'll take their final lap around the JMA. And it's an emotional thing for guys, and it should be. So I want to encourage the fans to hang around and swap stories, and because it's one of those things that the Dungies and the guys always talk about. Zaire Franklin's talk about what happens on those senior walks. So I wanted to let that go. We have a big game, obviously, this week. Also, we're playing, Florida State, and Coach Mike Norvell does a nice job with those guys. They're really on fire. They're having a good year. They're 4-3 in conference, 6-3 overall. Obviously, the win against Miami was impressive. Holding those guys to not scoring a touchdown, and then even more impressive maybe is the 41-16 win on a Georgia Tech team that's really gotten a lot better as the season went along. Jordan Travis is different. Okay, we thought he was one way last year. Now he is multiple, and that offense is clicking. They are absolutely on fire. They've done some amazing things in a year. Defensively, they've got defensive linemen and defensive ends, and it's an exceptional defense. When you take Miami's athletes and you hold them and they don't get a touchdown, it's telling you what we're dealing with right here. It's going to be a tall task, but we got them at home, and that's the best place to get people when you have tall tasks. And we're going to see how it goes. But we know that it's a difficult game. We know our opponent is really good, and we'll be there at 8 o'clock Saturday night.
Questions?
Coach, noticed on the travel roster on Saturday that Elijah Clark and Austin Reed didn't travel. Wondering if you could give an update on that.
All the injuries, I probably should have hit it in the opener, all the injuries, we're going to have to wait. Okay. The doctors, those guys were hurt, but the doctors don't see them until Monday. So I'll get all those reports because they do have a normal job. They just don't do our guys all day long. So when they get done with their jobs on Mondays, all our guys will be in there to see them, and I normally find out what's going on somewhere around Monday night.
And then kind of after watching the tape on Carlos from Saturday, how would you grade his performance?
I think the biggest thing when it comes to somebody having their first start is that everybody else is responsible for making his job easier. And, as a unit, we did not play well, and we're anticipating that we're going to play a lot better than that on Saturday because mainly we need to.
Coach, how would you characterize Sean Tucker's play on Saturday in terms of his usage?
Well, I think the big thing you guys need to look at is how many times we had the ball. We only had the ball 48 times. If you look at his targets, 1/3 of our offense went through Sean Tucker. And with more conversions on third downs and more plays, that can increase based off of what's going on in the game. So the numbers don't look when you do the percentages, it doesn't look as bad as what the actual numbers are.
Are you finding you've got a coach around teams anticipating he's going to get the ball? What's the cat and mouse game, I guess, there?
Well, the cat and mouse game is, A, he's a good player. B, we want to get him the ball. C, they know he's a good player, and they know we want to get him the ball. So now it comes down to, hey, we've got to find a way to be productive in those touches, even though they know those touches are coming. And that's the cat and mouse game.
And just to clarify, are you coaching around an injury with him? Does he have an owie at this situation? Would you put him in a characterization of being hurt at all?
The biggest thing on that, Brent, and being crystal clear with you, is even if he was hurt, I wouldn't say it right here, but he's full speed and he's our starting tailback right now.
Emily?
You kind of alluded to it, but Florida State is on a bit of a roll right now.
Okay, go slow down. You go fast sometimes.
You alluded to Florida State being on a bit of a roll right now, 2-game win streak. They're another team with a strong rushing defense or rushing offense. What did you see out of your defense that was promising and maybe making some better steps towards defending against that?
You know, when I went back and looked at the tape, when you think about the yardage that Pitt put on us, it really was not that bad. I want to say it was like 3.3 yards per rush. And the big thing is limiting big plays, big rushing plays, and then being able to get off the field on third down. And our third down percentage was not good. And I think when you look back at things, those are the things that we'd want to change more so than some of the other stuff. They're not scoring on our defense. I want to say that our defense is the #1 scoring defense in the ACC. Okay, so don't let the numbers get twisted based off of what the job that's being done. I really think that our defense played a good game.
I think every year you've been here, you've turned to a backup quarterback at some point in the season. What are the biggest things you've learned about preparing and using a backup quarterback or just second guy preparing you?
Again, you don't prepare your backup quarterback. You prepare your starting quarterback. In the season that we've done that and we had some success with it, that was more of, hey, here's your starting pitcher. Your starting pitcher's his stuff is not that great with the World Series. Way to go, Houston Astros. Not that I'm a big Houston Astros fan, but way to go. But you bring the reliever in to see if he's got some better stuff because your starter wasn't in. That's not the situations that we were the other seasons. I mean, this is a situation where you're going with your backup because your starter's not available. Okay, and we've got to wait for the starter to be available, and we've got to get the backup to play at the highest level that he's capable of playing.
Kalen Ellis wasn't available but did travel with you guys. Is that like a week-to-week injury he's dealing with, or what's going on with him?
Hopefully week to week. We're waiting to see what the doctors are going to say to him. Obviously, you know, that one hurt, and we knew it was going to hurt going in, but you know, we need to get him back quickly. It's one of those things that was brought up, that how valuable he is to our offense. A very good player.
How did you feel like the guys that had to step up? I think Enrique Cruz played quite a bit and shuffled some guys around. How did you feel like they responded to that?
Well, first of all, Dakota went inside to take Kalen's spot, and that's the offensive line flexibility once again that we create in August. And decent job by him inside. He's been there before. You know, Enrique's same thing. It's his first start. He's no different than you know, Carlos Del Rio. Did he do some things wrong? Yes. Did he do some things right? Yeah. But the biggest thing is what he does the next time he goes out there. That tells us where we're at with him. First starts are first starts. Guys are going to be nervous. They're going to do things right, do things wrong. We've got to see if they can be consistently good for us, not occasional, you know, after that first start.
Dino, your record in November is 5-18 since you've been here. Is there something about late in the season that you think is so troubling for your team?
I think the biggest thing about being late in the season, the ACC Atlantic, is how physical the conference is. And it comes down to who you play, when you play, whether you're healthy or not healthy. Every year in November that we've been healthy, which was one year, I would imagine that our record was a lot better than what it was all the other years. It's kind of like the situation that happened this year when traditionally we would play a certain university late, but we had that university early this year, and all of a sudden everybody was like, wow. Okay, it's different because when you're completely healthy. Now, all the other teams are getting banged up as well. You know, Pitt had injuries that popped up, obviously, that we saw. Some we knew about, some we didn't know about. But everybody has the same issues, so nobody's going to, you know, play the violin for us up here. We've got to figure out a way to win with the guys that we have that are on the football field.
Coach, the run defense struggled again against Pittsburgh. How do you kind of change things up a little bit, throw different wrinkles, you know, at opposing offenses?
Once again, they did not struggle. It was 3.3 yards per rushing. They ran the ball almost every snap. And I want to say they ended up with like 161 yards. You look at the point total, the game never got out of range where we couldn't have an opportunity to win. The biggest thing that happened was the third down conversion rate and the time of possession with the football. Okay, so if we can get them off the football field on third down and get that third down percentage down, they wouldn't have had the extra opportunities to make those numbers and those stats look like that happen. Our guys did a better job versus the run. Now I will say this, Florida State runs the ball just as much, and it's going to be the exact same situation here Saturday night.
Coach, how would you characterize your quarterback situation this week? Is it similar to last week?
I would hope that by not playing, you know, Garrett that he's healthier, but again, that's for the doctors to tell us, and we won't find out until later on tonight.
What was the decision-making process on Saturday, letting Garrett go through warm-ups? Was there maybe a chance he could come over and say, look, I'm good to go? Did you have an open mind on that?
You know, it was one of those things, Garrett, go out there and see how you feel. And besides that, it's also us watching him. You know, he doesn't get the only vote because we already know what his vote's going to be. You know, so we got to watch him, and then based off of that and the trainers and all that kind of stuff, we'll come to a decision.
Is it a lower body injury? Is that what we're dealing with here?
I would say that he's got an owie that we're sensitive to.
To see Chataya's gear make such a big jump from last year to this year, what has he meant to the defensive line?
You saw that. See, I'm proud of you. I am proud of you, man. He really is. He's growing up right in front of our eyes. He really is. And, you know, we've got 4 games left, 3 games in a bowl, okay? And I'm going to be patient and let this season finish, but there's some cats on this football team that next year, look out, because I see him as somebody that's going to go from a baby bear to a grizzly, and it's going to be fun watching him for as long as he's going to be here.
Hey, a couple more for Coach, starting with Jesse.
Coach, Jihad Carter kind of in the middle of a really great 3-game stretch. Just how important is his play going to be over these last 4 games as you guys, start to wrap up the regular season here?
You know, people say a lot of things. I think sometimes, how do you make a football player better on the football field? You know, sometimes they have to change off the football field. That's not saying that Jihad was bad. The last 3 games, I've never seen him so locked in, almost Andre Sisco-ish about, hey, this is the type of player I'm going to be, and now I'm going to show everybody. And I think you guys are seeing that focus, in his style of play. He really has, bang, 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 raised his level of play the last 3 games, and it's exciting to see how he can finish the season out.
Coach, this defense is still taking a big jump from last year in terms of takeaways. You had 2 more on Saturday.
Thank you for that, Michael.
So, even with how depleted they are, what does that say about the unit moving forward, that depth's really been coming up big?
Last year the thing was good defense, no turnovers, and now you've got good defense and turnovers. To me, they really have improved. And when you think about the guys that are not out there, and yet they're still doing this, I think is a testament to Coach White and the defensive staff, and watch this, and the mob. That mentality has been carrying, and they've been doing a fantastic job as a unit.
And what does that say about some of these players who, potentially will be starting with us next year?
It means that we're going to be better. How about that? Better.
And last one from Anthony.
Aranda didn't have a catch. I know he was targeted a couple of times. Was there?
He was targeted 5 times.
Okay.
He was targeted more than anyone else on the offense.
Is there a reason that he wasn't able to get a catch?
He was doubled a bunch of times. When you watch the game, there was guys inside of him, outside of him, guys underneath him, guys over the top of him, and he deserves the attention that he's getting. But even though he was doubled, we still targeted him 5 times. We used to have a saying, and I'll say this, normally I won't talk about other schools and other players, but I was at Pitt as an assistant coach when Larry Fitzgerald was there. And I got an opportunity to see Walt Harris before the game, and Walt Harris was at the game. And, Walt Harris taught me a lot of football, so I'm not ashamed of mentioning his name in his press conference. But one of the things that we used to say with Larry Fitzgerald as a wide receiver is, if Larry is single covered, throw him the football. And if Larry Fitzgerald's double covered, throw him the football. And for some reason, if somebody wanted to triple cover Larry Fitzgerald, take a really, 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 really good look before you decide to throw the ball to someone else. Okay, so Rondé's a good player. Okay, he's going to attract double coverage. We're still going to target him, okay, because he's still capable of making those plays. But he was targeted more than any of the other receivers.
Is there a specific receiver that kind of opens up more opportunities for?
I'm not sure of the question.
Having a Rondé double team, does that open up Courtney Jackson or Damian Alford to be more open?
When you know that people are going to double people, you can use that as an advantage to get someone else, preferably more open, based off of what's going on in the double coverage in the secondary. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming on for the clear.